This meeting of the Springfield City Council will now come to order. Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Councilor Perez?
Present.
Present. Councilor Click Bruce?
Present.
Present. Councilor Kern?
Present.
Present. Councilor Walsh?
Present.
Present. Councilor Brown?
Present.
Present. Councilor Davila?
Present.
Present. Councilor Hurst?
Present.
Present. Councilor Edwards?
Present.
Present. Councilor Allen?
Present.
Present. Councilor Govan?
Present.
Present. Councilor Fenton?
Present.
Present. Councilor Whitfield?
Present.
Present. Councilor Letterman?
Present. Will the members and guests please rise and join me in a moment of silence? Please remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Before we proceed with, you may all be seated. Before we proceed with tonight's hearing, a couple of announcements. First, Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that Councilor Brown, Councilor Govan, Councilor Fenton, Councilor Walsh, and Councilor Hurst are all participating remotely this evening. For councilors that are with us in the chamber, you are reminded that we would ask that you rise to be recognized when you are ready to speak, and that you deliver your remarks from the seated position, speaking directly into the microphones that are at your seat. Councilors are also reminded that their microphones are live and broadcasting at all times unless you hold your finger over the mute button. And so if your green light is on, your microphone is broadcasting live on Focus Springfield. The final announcement this evening is that the Health Commissioner, Helen Calton Harris, recommends that individuals, both members and guests who are present in the chamber this evening, consider wearing a mask if they are not speaking. And if you need a mask and do not have one, masks are provided at the entrance to the council chamber. At this time, Madam Clerk, please call the first item.
The first item on the agenda is Clark Street.
Is there anyone here to speak to this petition?
Yes, Hector Velez, DPW Springfield.
Mr. Velez, the floor is yours.
The resident of Clark Street is requesting a tow-away zone. They requested to the Traffic Commission because they have problem with the trash pickup. Cars parked there for days, and they have problem with the trash. And the resident are requesting a tow-away zone. Is around 6 houses on that street. Right now is no parking anytime on one side, but they wanted to add a tow-away.
Thank you, Mr. Velez. Are there any questions, comments, or deliberation from the council relative to the petition? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the Clark Street petition.
On approval of the petition, Councilor Perez?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Click Bruce?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Kern?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Walsh?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Brown?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Davila?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Hurst?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Edwards?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Allen?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Govan?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Fenton?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Whitfield?
Yes.
Yes. Councilor Letterman?
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the petition is approved. Madam Clerk, please call the next item on the agenda.
The next item is for a special permit to operate an indoor place of amusement on a portion of the property known as 1377 Liberty Street.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. This is a special permit hearing that will be run in accordance with our rules. Proponents of the special permit will be allowed 20 minutes to present their case favorably. Opponents to the petition will be afforded the same 20 minutes, and rebuttal will be limited to 5 minutes. At this time, we would welcome the petitioner and any proponents of the special permit at 1277 Liberty Street to step forward. Is there anyone present to speak to the petition at 1277 Liberty Street? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, have we received any communication? I see Counselor Fenton has his hand up in the queue. Counselor Fenton? Counselor Fenton? Counselor Fenton, you are recognized, but if you are speaking, we cannot hear you. Madam Clerk, have we received any communication from the petitioner?
We have not. We have received something from the Hungry Hill Neighborhood Council in support.
Well, so at this time, I haven't formally declared the hearing open. Is there any motion from the council relative to the petition at 1277 Liberty Street?
Motion to continue.
Motion has been made by Counselor Edwards to continue, seconded by Counselor Davila. Is there any discussion on the motion to continue? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to continue the special permit from 1277 Liberty Street to our next special permit hearing.
On the motion to continue, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient, and the special permit will be continued with the hearing unopened. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
The next item is for a special permit to reopen a pre-existing non-conforming use property known as 169 Maple Street.
Is the petitioner present? Please step forward. This is a special permit hearing in accordance with the same rules. The proponents of the petition will have 20 minutes to present their case in favor. Opponents will have the same 20 minutes, and rebuttal will be limited to 5 minutes. At this time, I will declare that the hearing is now open and recognize the petitioner as the first proponent.
My name is Joy Martin from Davenport Advisors, and I'm here to present our plan for 169 Maple Street. As you know, or may not know, it's a historic building, and our proposal is to preserve the building.
I'm sorry to interrupt. We do need you to speak directly into the microphone
I
in
apologize.
order for both the audience here in the chamber as well as those at home to be able to hear you.
Is that better?
Yes,
Okay.
thank you.
Davenport's proposal is to rehabilitate the historic building known as the Parsons Apartments located at 169 Maple Street. This is how the building looks today. We would obviously restore the building, fix the structure. The exterior of the building will remain the same. We will follow all historic guidelines, both state and federal. The changes that we will be making to the site plan for 169 Maple Street is what you see here in the front with a slope area and entrance to allow for handicap access into the building. This building was presented to you before, I believe about 2 years ago, for an historic rehab into 11 apartments. We plan to follow the same plan, which has been approved already by both the state and federal historic commissions. It is for 11 apartments, 3 bedrooms, 2 full bathrooms, and a laundry room. Each will be equipped with washer and dryers. We will be putting in an elevator where the old elevator used to be within the building, and that elevator will also have handicapped access to allow movement. So this is how we have lighting for the outside, and this is how the exterior would be redone. This next board that I have here shows how the apartments are laid out. The apartments are approximately 2,000 square feet in size. And like I said, there would be 3 bedrooms, a full living room, a full dining room, porch area, kitchen, and a laundry room with washer and dryers.
Thank you. Does that conclude your remarks?
That's it.
At this time, we'd welcome any other proponents or individuals present in person who would like to speak in favor of the special permit. Seeing none, we'll inquire if there are any individuals present virtually looking to speak in favor of the special permit. Are you here to speak in favor, sir? Sir, we would invite you to step forward to the podium and state your name and address for the record. Sir, we'd invite you just, if you could stand behind the podium.
Right.
And then the microphone will be accessible to you.
167 Maple Street, I have the dentist's office there. I'm right beside them. I'm glad that it's going to be rehabbed. My only concern is when this happens, I have a small parking lot in the front. I can't have construction vehicles or all that stuff there. So that's how I earn my living. I've always had good relations with the previous owners of that place. But I can't let the big construction vehicles be clogging that up. Otherwise, my patients can't be there. That's my only thought. But my thought is welcome. I'm glad they're coming.
Thank you, sir. Are there any further individuals present in person or virtually to speak in favor of the special permit? Seeing none, at this time we'll ask if there are any individuals present in person to speak in opposition to the special permit. Seeing none, we'll inquire if there are any individuals present virtually to speak in opposition to the special permit. Seeing none, at this time we will allow questions from the council while the hearing remains open. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. Joy, can you come back to the podium? So during the construction phase, is there going to be a diversity hiring type of initiative going on?
Yes, there will be. Right now, our planned general contractor is Foxtrot Construction, who is a veteran-owned business. And we will be working with him as the GC to ensure that there is diversity and local hiring of all of the subcontractors on this work.
So I just wanted to say thank you for reaching out to me earlier. So we had a candid conversation.
We did.
Not about the project in general, but just in general. And I just wanted to thank you for your willingness to support small local businesses in the area that may need help with, putting together a plan like you all did. And I just wanted to clarify that your organization only focuses in market rate housing, correct?
Our organization focuses on historic rehabilitations of buildings and offering them at market rate for the community that they're in.
Okay, so that's good. And then I finally just wanted to say that, of course, we need development to happen. And I was never against the development. I was more against the funding because I just think that smaller organizations could use the funding to develop properties more, even though I don't really know your whole financial situation, so I could be just assuming, but I definitely am in support of the project.
And I did just want to take a moment to point out, since we were talking about diversity, that Davenport Advisors is a state-certified minority-owned business.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. We have several councilors present in person who have indicated they would like to speak at this time. We also have several councilors who have indicated they would like to speak virtually. So in keeping with our past practice, I'm going to go in-person, virtual, in-person, virtual. So we heard from Councilor Whitfield. We will now hear from Councilor Walsh.
Thank you, Mr. President, and I apologize because I have a cold. I would like the petitioner to address the concerns raised by her neighbor regarding the construction on his property, the vehicles. And unfortunately, I could not see any of the drawings because she didn't turn around and show them to the people who were virtual.
Oh, I apologize. Would you like me to re-get them?
No, I'd just like you to address the concern of your neighbor.
Oh, yes. Well, part of this, as you know, 169 Maple Street was part of an RFP from the city. And a parcel of land that is going with that is a vacant lot that, if we are successful later today, we will be using for some of our construction parking during the process of this. And we will also be looking to utilize some parking with the townhouses across the street. We have a relationship with the owner of those townhouses to see if we can have, we'll have space available there as well, which is located directly across the street from the project. We will not do anything to impact your business at all. And we will be more than happy to share our construction and parking plan with you to take any comments that you may have so that we address your concerns and make sure that we do not interrupt your business or any other local business in any way.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Ms. Joy, I might suggest you may want to remain at the podium, as I imagine that the further questions from the council will likely be pertaining to answers that you would be able to provide. At this time, I will now go to Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Joyce. And thank you for addressing the question over the parking, which is like the same question that I was going to ask. So with regards to the actual equipment there, Maple Street is a pretty busy street. Can you share some of the security plans for the construction site itself, not to impede traffic?
I'm sorry, I couldn't completely hear your question. I apologize.
Can you share with us the part of the security plan for the traffic, not to impede traffic on Maple Street, because that's a pretty busy street?
We will coordinate with the general contractor. He will be in charge of taking care of that traffic plan, but as we have done in the past, we will discuss it with the local neighbors. We will have update reports that will go out to local businesses on a bi-weekly basis, or if we're deep into construction, on a weekly basis, to make everyone aware of the activities that are planned to take place that day and any disturbances that there may be in traffic. We will have a secure security fence around the construction work itself while it's being done. And if required, we'll make sure that we have traffic coordinators on site during busy hours in the area.
When you say coordinator, you mean civilians or police officers?
They'll either be police officers or they'll be trained traffic coordinators. Like people who have actually had some training in directing traffic.
Okay, I thought that the practice here in the city is to have officers.
Then we will have officers here.
Okay, I see what you're saying. Okay, Mr. President, is this first time or is it second reading on this?
Councilor Davila, special permits only require one hearing. And so you may be thinking of a time when we were fully virtual, at which point we were holding 2 votes on each special permit. But since we have rejoined each other in person or with an in-person component, we're no longer required to do so.
Okay. Those are my questions for now. And Joyce, thank you for Davenport's willingness to share with the resident who just expressed concern, because that's a very good act. And so those are my questions, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. We'll now go virtually to Councilor Govan, and then we'll come in person to Councilor Allen.
Thank you, Mr. President. And I think I spoke to Joy earlier via possibly either on the phone or via email, but my only question was regarding the housing, and I learned that it's market rate housing. And whenever I see new housing coming into the city, I always have to ask about affordable housing. But it sounds like this is not something that is going to be affordable for our residents, our teachers, our police officers, our regular people who hopefully can afford to live in our city. That was my only comment, and I don't think that that's going to change. So I just wanted to make that comment. Thank you.
I would like
Councilor Govan, are you seeking that in the form of a question to the petitioner?
No, because I think I spoke to her earlier, and then from Councilor Whitfield's question, I heard that it's going to be market rate housing. Am I correct, petitioner?
Yes.
Yes. Yeah, so there's no no point in me continuing to ask about that. I just wanted to make the comment that, of course, we need more affordable housing in our city. But thank you. I really like the project, though.
Thank you, Councilor Govan.
Thank you.
Councilor Allen.
Thanks, Mr. President. Yes, could you speak to the market for this apartment? You guys just developed on Chestnut Street, right?
151 Chestnut,
Yeah.
Overland Lofts, yes.
Is that all sold out? Did that all fill?
Overland Lofts currently is at a 90% occupied.
And is this apartment building that you're here about tonight, is it the same market kind of thing?
No, it's not the same market. The apartments at Overland Lofts are much smaller.
Much smaller.
It's much smaller, and the building itself has amenities within it, like a tenant lounge and other things there, an indoor gym, indoor parking. This is 11 three-bedroom apartments. And the amenities that they will have will be the washer and dryers and secure entrances. But given that each apartment is about 2,000 square feet, we are looking at an average rent of about $2,000 a month, which equates to about between 90 cents to $1 a square foot in rent. Overland Lofts runs a little bit higher than that.
So would you consider this like a really good opportunity for people who need that size of an apartment?
I think what it offers to the city is a larger living space for extended families who live together. Whether it's a good opportunity is really an individual call because it depends on your situation.
But it's a unique property in terms of...
It is unique in that it's very rare these days that you would find 3 full bedrooms with full living rooms, full dining rooms. It's an historic building. So as part of the historic rehabilitation, the rooms and the layout is pretty much staying the same.
Okay. Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thanks, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Madam Clerk, please also let the record reflect that Councilor Fenton has joined us now in person and is no longer connected remotely. Councilor Brown.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question is pretty much for Joy. I appreciate the work that you're doing. I'm curious as far as have you had a chance to talk to your neighbor about his concerns?
Excuse me, are you referring to the gentleman that was here? This gentleman right here?
Yeah.
No, I
Yes.
have not spoken him directly yet because as of this time, I really don't have any details to share with him. Once and if the project is approved and we move forward, then I would be able to sit down and discuss a traffic plan and a construction plan.
Okay, because it sounds like a great project, but a lot of times it's still about being a good neighbor. Sometimes once you have the approval from the council, I just would want to make sure you still you did the right thing as far as being a good neighbor to the gentleman who petitioned the council, as far as making sure the construction flow doesn't disrupt his place of business.
Yes, we plan and want to be a very good neighbor, and we will have direct communication with all of our abutting businesses and residents. And like I said, we will send out newsletters and information to the area so that people will know what's going on and can plan accordingly, or let me know if there is something that is of concern. I would be for lack of a better term, communications officer in that area.
Okay, yeah. So I do appreciate your work, and I just would want a little extra attention toward the petitioner who actually took the time out to come in person to petition the city council, to have really a good relationship with him. He said he had a good relationship with the previous owner, so it sounds like you guys will have a long-lasting friendship. I thank you for your commitment to the community. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Are there any further questions for the petitioner while the hearing remains open? Councilor Perez?
Yes, I have to say that although it's a market rate, I applaud your company because you are hiring diversity, and I will be in support of the project.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Mr. President. I know this sounds very familiar. I just realized that this is CPA money we approved last year, I believe, was 250,000, excuse me, last meeting we approved it.
Yeah.
250,000. Joyce, I'm sorry, can you tell us again what's the total investment on this property?
This is a $3.3 million project,
$3.3 million?
approximately. It may be a little bit more expensive now with the change in interest rates.
Okay, all right, thank you, Joyce. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Are there any further questions from the council while the hearing remains open? Seeing none, without objection, I'll now declare that the public hearing is closed. Is there any deliberation among the council prior to the vote on the special permit? Seeing no deliberation, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the special permit at 169 Maple Street.
On approving the special permit, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the special permit is approved. Councilor Perez on the reasons.
Reason for granted permit. Number one, the specific site is an appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition. Number two, the use as developed would not adversely affect the neighborhood. Number three, adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use. Number four, to incorporate the planning staff analysis into the decision at the basis of the findings.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to accept the reasons.
On accepting the reasons, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the reasons are approved. Councilor Fenton?
Thank you, Mr. President. At this time, I would like to make a motion that we reconsider the motion to continue item number 2. I noticed that the applicant has, although late, arrived here tonight, and I know he's traveled a great distance and has already met with the neighborhood council who submitted a letter of support. So I would make a motion at this time that we reconsider the motion to continue item number 2.
Second. The motion.
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? Seeing none, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to reconsider the continuance of item 2.
On reconsideration, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Walsh.
Sorry, I didn't know I was muted. Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are unanimous, and with that, Madam Clerk, please call item 2.
Item 2 is for a special permit to operate an indoor place of amusement on a portion of the property known as 1377 Liberty Street.
Is the petitioner present? We ask that you step forward at this time. This is a special permit hearing that will be run in accordance with the rules of the City Council. The proponents of the special permit will be afforded 20 minutes to present their permit to the City Council. Opponents of the permit will have the same right, and rebuttal will be limited to 5 minutes on each side. At this time, I'll now declare that the special permit hearing is now open and recognize the petitioner as the first proponent. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Jun Zhang. My address is 738 Bark Street in Swansea, Massachusetts.
And the floor is yours.
I'd like to request a special permit for a trampoline park and amusement park at that location that was mentioned, which is the Springfield Plaza over there. We have 16 locations operating, and we like to open one here in Springfield. We think it'd be a great addition to the city. If you guys have any questions, I guess I can answer them. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll move to questions after we finish taking any public testimony that exists.
Okay, no problem.
Does that conclude your testimony at this time?
I think so, yes.
Thank you. Are there any further individuals present to speak in favor of the special permit? We'd ask, sir, that you may step aside while we check if there's anybody else present. And is there anybody present virtually to speak in favor of the special permit at this time? Seeing no further individuals present to speak in favor of the special permit, we'll now ask if there are any individuals present to speak in opposition to the special permit. Please step forward. Please state your name and address for the record.
Yeah, my name's Rob Doty. My address is for my business is Bounce Trampoline Sports, which is 1250 St. James Avenue in Springfield.
The floor is yours.
Yeah, I'm opposed to it. It's a duplication of business. I mean, it's in walking distance. Basically, it's across the parking lot from our location. So I don't see how this would be beneficial to the city of Springfield to have a trampoline park across the parking lot. I mean, we can see each other's business buildings from our parking lot. So I don't understand as far as duplication of business that it's a good thing for the city. Both myself and my other partner have tried reaching out to the new owners, the petitioner, and we have not been able to get in touch with them. They haven't returned any calls or emails. So we would like to discuss things with them too.
Thank you. Does that conclude your remarks?
Yes, that's it.
Thank you, sir. Are there any further individuals present in person to speak in opposition to the special permit? Seeing none, are there any individuals present virtually to speak in opposition to the special permit? Seeing none, the petitioner is entitled to 5 minutes of rebuttal prior to questions from the council. You do not have to take that opportunity, but you are welcome to that opportunity at this time.
So I do like to apologize. I'm not the one in control of the emails and all that regarding your response, and I will ask my other partners and coworkers about that. So I do apologize for that. As far as seeing distance and things of that nature, I do believe it's we are in the United States and it is competition, and I do believe I have a right to go into that location regardless of the distance.
Thank you. Is there any further rebuttal from proponents of the special permit, either virtually or in person? Seeing none, opponents are entitled also to a 5-minute rebuttal if they so wish. We would remind individuals to please address all remarks to the council body and the president, whether speaking in favor or in opposition. At this time, is there any rebuttal from anybody wishing to speak in opposition, either present in person or virtually? Sir, you may step forward if you so choose.
Yeah, the one thing I would like to say is that it is quite disappointing that we've been reaching out to these new owners of this Fun City, I believe is what their trampoline parks are, and we haven't been getting any response, a favorable response would be at least neighborly, to get back in touch with us. And we would still really like to, talk to them, and maybe if we could have a sit down or at least a conversation with them, that would be greatly appreciated at this point. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there any further individuals wishing to speak in opposition as a part of the rebuttal, either in person or virtually? Seeing none, at this time, we'll call upon any questions from the City Council while the special permit hearing remains open. Councilor Fenton.
Thank you, Mr. President. One of the items that we discussed at the Hungry Hill Neighborhood Council was that the applicant communicate with the business owner of Bounce, and so disappointed to hear that hasn't happened. I will make a motion to continue this matter to our next meeting so that that meeting can take place.
Second.
Motion has been made by Councilor Fenton to continue the special permit hearing. It has been seconded by Councilor Whitfield. Is there any discussion on the special permit or on the motion to continue?
I just have a
Councilor Davila.
question, Mr. President, just for my own purposes, to help me decide how I'm going to vote. This is the proponent also the current owner of the plaza itself?
Would the petitioner step forward to answer the question?
Yeah. Did you guys recently acquire the entire plaza?
Correct. We did buy the plaza.
So you acquired the entire plaza, plus you want to start another business in the plaza you own, correct?
Correct. That's one of our business models.
Okay, and you say you have 16 other locations throughout Massachusetts or throughout the country?
Throughout New England.
Can you tell us where some of those locations are?
There's 2 in Maine. There's 4 in Massachusetts. There's a couple in Connecticut. Well, there's 3 or 4 in Connecticut. There's 1 in New Jersey. We have 2 opening up in Chicago. So that one's not New England, but they're opening up. Pennsylvania as well, but majority of them's in New England.
I understand. Right. And if I may, what's the capacity for this location?
Are you talking about how many people we can fit?
Yeah.
It's looking around 55,000 square feet, so we're probably estimating around 300 to 500 people, including parents and jumpers, but if we're just including kids playing, it's probably around 300.
How many kids you say?
I'm sorry, one more time?
How many kids did you say?
We'll probably estimate around 300, probably a little bit less than that, but around 300.
Okay, all right, thank you. Mr. President, I do support Councilor Fenton's decision or motion to committee, if I heard correctly, to allow for this meeting to occur. Competition is good, but I think seeing that they already own the entire plaza, it seems to me that they should sit down and have a chit chat. Thank you, Mr. President. Those are my comments.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Fenton on your motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Just to clarify for Councilor Davila, while the applicant does own what's commonly referred to as the Springfield Plaza, the applicant does not own the parcel that is the subject parcel for Bounce. That is owned by a different entity, which is not under the control of the Springfield Plaza. Is that correct, sir?
Yeah, that is correct. I'm sorry I didn't clarify that earlier.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you for the clarification.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Is there any further discussion on the motion by Councilor Fenton to continue to our next hearings meeting? Seeing no further discussion, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to continue.
On the motion to continue the special permit, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Kern.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. This special permit will be continued to our next hearings meeting. The hearing will remain open, and the Department of Economic Development can be in touch with further details. Madam Clerk, please call the next item.
The next item is for a special permit to operate a drive-up service window at the property known as Southside West Street.
The petitioner present. Thank you. This is a special permit hearing. Will be run in accordance with the same rules as previously stated. 20 minutes for proponents, 20 minutes for opponents, and 5 minutes for rebuttal on each side. I will now declare that the public hearing is open, and we'll recognize Mr. Bolduc as the first proponent. Mr. Bolduc, the floor is yours.
Good evening. Excuse my voice. My cold got worse today. Therefore, I will, as always, be brief, probably briefer. This is for on West Street, next to my former gas station. Between that gas station and the boathouse, there's a piece of property there that I was approached on some time ago to build a Starbucks for the Starbucks people. And so that is what this is for. It's a standard Starbucks restaurant. New design. It has some nice new features, a much larger outdoor space and much more spacious seating area inside, as well as double the amount of space for queuing for the drive-through window. It's their latest national design. It will be the first one in this area. Flip to the other side of this one. This sketch shows where it is in relation to the gas station for those of you, so you can put it into perspective. You'll see the gas station is here, is next to it, and then the colored area is the proposed facility. It meets all the parking and drive-through requirements. It meets all the setbacks. In fact, it meets every requirement. There will be no additional curb cuts because we have an access agreement with the former Pride Station to enter and go from their property. So it means we'll be using the existing driveways to the Bride gas station and not create any additional issues. We've been approved by DPW. We've submitted a traffic plan to them, and they are quite happy with the plan as it is. In fact, we submitted as part of our package a letter of approval from traffic. The comments were that at the time of submittal, we hadn't submitted the easement package yet, but that has since been recorded and filed with the registry. And I have a copy of that on another one if you'd like to see it. Also, there was a comment that we needed to add a sidewalk from the city sidewalk directly to the facility, and I can show you that also. That's been added here. And so foot traffic will be able to leave the city sidewalk and walk directly to the front door of the Starbucks. We might request a change, which we will bring back to planning, to shift it over a little bit so that customers are not walking through parking spaces. The engineer who designed it did so at our request in a hurry, so we'd have something to propose. But upon further review, we will be going back to planning and showing them for a change there. My only other comment is I have no conditions with the proposed, no issues with the proposed conditions, except that I would request that item 5 condition be removed because it calls for an irrigation system to all the plants. And in all the gas stations I've built, we've never had the need to put in an irrigation system. We see to it that all the plants are well established. We in fact have a truck that goes around and for the first season see that everything is watered properly and that it grows and is established. After that, nature has done its job and it saves all the cost and expense of putting in an irrigation system. I know this is a new city requirement. It's a new request, I should say, and we're asking that it be waived in this case because we do have experience. and I think very successful experience, that we have produced some of the best looking, best landscape facilities in the city, and that we maintain them properly. That's the presentation. I'd be happy to take questions.
Thank you, Mr. Bolduc. Are there any further individuals present to speak in favor of the petition? Seeing none in person, are there any other individuals present to speak in favor virtually? Seeing none, is there anybody present to speak in opposition to the special permit in person? And is there anybody present virtually to speak in opposition to the special permit? Seeing none, at this time, we'll now entertain any questions from councilors while the permit hearing remains open. Councilor Perez.
Thank you, Mr. President. The project that's being presented here, Mr. Baldock met with the chairperson of the neighborhood committee, and he presented the project. The crosswalk was an issue because of the constituents reporting the need of having a crosswalk, and he was well aware of it. And I understand the council did send a letter in support of the project at this point. So for the point of information, it was approved by the council, the New York Citizens Council. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Councilor Whitfield.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. Baldock, how many jobs will this create, this location?
I'm sorry, what?
How many jobs will this create, this location?
Oh, the last one that we built in Westfield that we opened just a few months ago hired 37 individuals. I was really surprised.
Well, that's good.
And I should add to that you know my policy is always to hire directly from the community. So as we propose to the New North Council, we will see to it that everyone at that store is hired from the North End.
That's perfect. Well, North End, I mean, people all over Springfield need jobs, so if you can't fill it with just North End residents, you know, we can go broader, okay? Because we all need jobs in the city.
We're doing our share in other parts of the city too, as you know.
Okay. I like equity, you know? And speaking of that, as part of the construction phase, do you have like a diversity hiring when it comes to
Absolutely.
the construction part?
Throughout our company, we have already, I think, exceeded any diversity requirements. That's just the way we operate.
I like it. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Are there any further questions? Councilor Allen, followed by Councilor Davila.
Thanks, Mr. President. I was wondering if we could get Phil in here. There's no zoning. His recommendation's not in my packet. Can he come in here? Has he got a... Phil, I don't have any specific question on this, just your general, the page where it gives your approval or your recommendation. I don't have it in here. Could you just pass on your opinion of this project?
I have no objection to it. I mean, it's an appropriate location for this particular use. Some of the concerns I raised is the need for, an agreement between because it doesn't have its own driveway. It's going to cross the adjacent property. I just need some type of legal agreement that shows that they're allowed to do that. I did understand that Mr. Bolduc would like to remove the irrigation condition. I'm not a fan of that, but if the council believes it's appropriate, that's a standard condition that I put in with all new development to ensure that the landscaping, remains viable. So, but other than that, it has gone through, I believe, a preliminary DPW review. They didn't have any specific comments on it. So at the end of the day, I don't have any concerns with the proposed project.
Okay. And I don't know if you would know, but did the North End, New North Citizens Council or whomever, did they have an opinion or a recommendation?
Well, they were in favor of the project.
You did? Okay.
Also, I just want to add, I was happy that they added the pedestrian connection. Their original plan had no connection, and as I I like to stress to all development, we need to design for pedestrians as well as vehicle, especially in this particular location, which has a pretty large residential population right across the street. So that was included, so I'm happy to see that that was, so.
All right, great. Thank you, Phil. Thank you, Mr. President.
Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Mr. President. Good evening, Mr. Baldock, and thank you for this presentation, sir. My apologies to you, sir, that I'm giving you my back, but this is the seat, and this is what I must do so people at home can hear me. Mr. Baldock, let me start by saying, sir, that I'm a frequent customer of yours at your Pride gas stations, and I always find them to be fairly clean, easy in, easy out, and so it's a very good operation that you run, sir. I also see the logic behind this. You will be capturing a lot of people at this proposed location, sir. But just run me through some questions here real quick, Mr. Baldock, if you may. How many locations you own in Springfield? Total?
Not many anymore.
Not many. So are you going to own this particular proposal?
Yes,
or,
yes, I will own this one.
But not the Pride?
I will not operate it directly. It will be operated by Starbucks National,
Yeah.
which is their policy. But I will own it, and I'm responsible for maintenance and upkeep.
I understand. I understand. Now, and what's the total investment on this project, sir?
The investment's well over $2 million.
$2 million, okay. And what's the capacity of patrons that you're expecting on any given day on that location?
Well, it was designed by Starbucks, and I'm not privy to their calculations, but I can tell you that it was designed to satisfy all of the new requirements that they have, that they see every day. And so they improve their design almost daily based on what they learn from other stores. That's why the double drive-through and the additional parking that we had to add for them.
So in terms of comparison, if I could, sir, is it going to be similar or bigger than the one in East Columbus?
It will have twice the queuing capacity of the one in East Columbus. In fact, probably more so because we're set further back from the road and it's a double line.
Double line.
So
okay.
you will absolutely not see backups into the street like on East Columbus.
Right.
And in fact, if there were backups, they would be onto the Pride gas station property, not because there's no entrance to the road from the Starbucks.
Right. So basically, if I understand correctly, the business model will be to capture most of the vehicle traffic, correct?
Well, this will absolutely solve any problems.
Okay. And now, I believe that there is a trucking stop behind the Pride gas station, if that's correct?
Yes.
Okay, and what's the plan for not to have, I know it's a big location, I realize that, but, you're going to have probably hundreds of cars throughout the day. What's the plan to keep not only the safety within the lot, but also that there's no backup as well?
I didn't hear the last two words, so there's no what?
That there's no backup as well.
No backup?
Specifically, Mr. Baldo, what I'm getting at, it's if you could reassure me about that there will be no issues between the people coming in through the double drive-through, double lined, and the gas station behind the Pride station. What's the plan going to be for traffic flow?
It turns out that on that side of the gas station, there's maybe an area that's 100 feet by 200 feet that's not used by the gas station. So if there were a traffic problem, which I cannot imagine there would be with double the space that there is, for example, in East Columbus, we would be able to reroute cars within that 200 feet of the gas station because obviously we wouldn't want anything to impact the operation of the gas station.
Right. Mr. Baldo, the reason that I'm kind of making a point of this is because, as I'm sure you're aware, the bridge is right there, and that's used by many other communities through the ambulance service to go to Bay State. And the last thing that we need is a traffic backup in that corner because it's going to affect emergency vehicles.
Well, I can answer that. It's not a corner. It's mid-road, and there are lights on each side of the facility. And there's an off-ramp. If you're coming, and this has been studied by a traffic engineer, a large traffic firm, and I can get you copies of the report if you'd like.
Why wasn't that included in the packet? Because I'm asking, so there's nothing traffic related in the packet at all.
Yeah, there's absolutely, the DPW and traffic concluded, and I can read you their letter, that they are happy with the plan and see no anticipated problems whatsoever. I believe that was submitted in the plan, and I'm surprised that you don't, it's too bad you don't have it.
Right.
You give me 2 minutes and I'll give it to you. Sure. While we've been talking, I looked up for Councilor Allen's request, and I'll read to you the report, just the last paragraph of the report from the New North Citizens Council. It says, "It is with great enthusiasm that we wish to inform you that the entire NNCC Board of Directors voted to approve and recommend the site for the proposed new Starbucks. And they had seen the traffic plan, and they are very familiar with the traffic issues in that area.
Right.
So if you will trust the fact that they looked at it carefully, as well as the traffic department, and they're happy with the design, I submit that to you."
Yeah, you make a very good point, Mr. Baldock, but I assure you, sir, that I am also extremely familiar with that traffic there, sir. Mr. President, if I may, maybe with Phil, if I could ask him a question. Phil, I would love to hear your opinion on this back and forth about traffic. I'm surprised there's nothing in the packet regarding traffic, so.
Well, it does mention that the traffic information was submitted to the Department of Public Works. They
Yeah,
have,
but
they have
no traffic
reviewed it.
pattern, nothing here, there's nothing, like other times we get a whole diagram with crayons and the whole 9 yards, there's nothing here.
I can just tell you, I've had a number of conversations with the Department of Public Works. They did not see any issues with the proposed traffic for this location. The site itself has been designed to far exceed the stacking that is required under our zoning and under any kind of existing drive-through that we have in the city. So again, I apologize if there isn't. I can certainly get that information. I don't usually submit a full traffic study with my report. I submit the site plans. The traffic study goes to the Department of Public Works. There is a condition on the special permit that does require full review and approval by the Department of Public Works for not only traffic, but drainage and other issues that they...
Because I know in the past, since I've been here, there's been like diagrams that are submitted, whether it's by you or the petitioner, of the actual traffic pattern. And I'm surprised, to be honest with you, that this is not included here, given that Mr. Baldock has such a vast, well-known experience in this area, and that, the city knows it well. And I keep harping on this issue because this is a very important, and as I said, this is, that area there, it's used by a lot of traffic vehicles, ambulances in particular, coming from other facilities to go to local hospitals. But Phil, can we put something that we could have like a traffic review in X amount of months to see how that's going within the conditions?
Absolutely. If that's a condition that the city council wants to impose, you absolutely can add that as a condition.
And then if we find that there's an issue, that we can ask, or that we can basically order that it be fixed.
Absolutely.
Okay. And my last question, Mr. President, then I would love to hear what my colleagues have to say. Is Mr. Baldock, I believe that a year ago we were having issues with that particular Pride gas station with the amount of 911 calls that was being generated out of that particular Pride gas station. Can you opine on that? I know you say you don't own it anymore, but we're going to be increasing traffic there. And to be honest with you, sir, I just in my mind, I can totally see a situation in which the panhandling is going to be there. There's a lot of locations throughout the city that you go drive through and they just hustle you right on your window as you're trying to order, you're trying to pay for your stuff. So please tell us how that's going to be addressed.
Sure. I'm happy to do that because, in fact, I'm happy to talk about that problem because it is clearly a citywide problem.
Right.
And it always was my policy. And fortunately, my employees stayed on with the new owners. And it is likely they will stay on with the new owners after that to monitor, probably as close as anybody, panhandlers, and to go out there and kick them off the property and call the police. We do it because our customers don't like it. And I can tell you we have a bigger problem with it on East Columbus than we do on West Street. And we sympathize with the police because they're understaffed and they can't always come right away. And when they come, they do their best to kick the panhandlers off. But the panhandlers are very intelligent and they come back as soon as the police leave. Mm-hmm. And it's a citywide problem. And I suggest that there would be more, maybe some studies done on ways that other cities have reduced panhandling and that those be applied to Springfield, because I know this police department's doing their best job, but it's a terrible problem. And it's all over, as we know, not just in Springfield. But we certainly do our part, more than our part, in fact.
Right. Thank you, Mr. Baldock. And I just finished my comments with you, Mr. President. Mr. Baldock, as I mentioned on my opening statements, I am fully aware that you're running absolutely outstanding operations when you were running the Pride Gas Station. So, I'm sure that, at least in my view, that's very important. And so, but Mr. President, I would love to hear what my colleagues have to say. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Hearing remains open. Are there any further questions from the City Council while the hearing remains open for the petitioner? Seeing no further questions for the petitioner at this time without objection, I'll now declare that the public hearing is closed. Is there any debate, amendments, or motions from the council? Councilor Edwards.
Thank you, Mr. President. I believe may I make a motion to withdraw condition number 5, which is the sprinklers?
Motion has been made by Councilor Edwards to strike condition 5 from the permit. Is there a second?
Second.
Second was made by Councilor Walsh. Is there any discussion on the motion to strike condition 5? Councilor Whitfield.
Can Phil, please? Phil? Hey, Phil.
Hey, Counselor.
What was the reason to put the sprinklers there in the first place?
Well, again, on these larger landscape development plans, I just like to see internal irrigation installed to make, to give long-term viability to the landscaping. A lot of new developments have different type of landscaping. Some of them need more water, some of them need less. If there's lawns involved, those tend to need some type of irrigation in order to keep them looking good.
Look
So that's just a standard condition that I have.
Beautify our city. Is there a lot of greenery on your landscape, Mr. Modoc?
Excuse me. If we're gonna hear from the petitioner further, we would have to reopen the hearing.
Is there a lot of greenery? Phil?
Well, there's different types of landscaping throughout the, there is a pretty significant landscaping plan. I'm not sure all of it needs irrigation, but again, it is irrigation.
It's just because we didn't have it in here to look at it, so.
It should have been. I think it is in your packet, but I'm happy to highlight it for you.
I just want to know which part is green, because I agree with beautifying our city and keeping it looking nice. So I'm really not sure the reason to remove them or not install them if there's a substantial amount of greenery in the area. This is all good.
Again. That's the. So there's different, again, he has to maintain his abutting property, so.
Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Is there any further deliberation on the motion to strike condition 5? Councilor Walsh, your hand is up. Is your hand up on the motion?
Yes, my hand is up on the motion. I support the motion. You know, we have before us a great corporate citizen with a terrific business plan, with tons of experience with his businesses, who has told us in person that he's going to make sure that the plants are watered and taken care of. So I would be hopeful that we would all support him. And you know, I don't know how much I like imposing this kind of restriction on all businesses. It's difficult for businesses as it is without restrictions that might hamper them. So I totally support its removal.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Whitfield, on the motion.
I just wanted to say that Mr. Bulldog is a great business person in the community. However, just like he sold the Prides, he can also sell the Starbucks. And without an irrigation system being there, they may not be as great of a business person as he is. They may not care about the beautification of the city of Springfield. They may be owners from somewhere who could care less, and this is certainly not you, sir, but they could be folks from somewhere else that could care less about how the greenery of the city of Springfield works. So just getting questions and information does not imply that someone is not a great business person and hasn't done great in the city of Springfield. Is not implying that, but we have a right to ask questions because we have to also realize everyone's not here forever. And so we have to do what's best up front for the city of Springfield to prevent damage in the future. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. On the motion, Councilor Walsh. Councilor Walsh, you're recognized on the motion, but you are muted.
I'm sorry. Just to clarify a point, I think that Mr. Bolduc said that he was going to own the Starbucks. Is that correct?
That is correct, Councilor Walsh.
Okay, so that might make a difference. That might help solve this problem. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Walsh. Is there any further discussion on the motion to strike item 5, condition 5? Seeing no further discussion, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on Councilor Edwards' motion to strike condition 5 from the special permit.
On the motion to strike condition 5, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
No.
No, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient, and condition 5 shall be struck. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I joined Councilor Walsh, as I said before, the Pride gas stations, even though, again, they're not owned no longer by Mr. Baldock, are, to me, very well run, mostly clean. I would say the cleanest of all. So there's absolutely no question about Mr. Baldock's dedication to the city. There's no question about the kind of operations he's going to be running at the new Starbucks location, at least in my mind. With that being said, I'm going to be honest with you, Mr. President, we don't have anything here, traffic related. I usually would have just voted no or send this to committee. What saves it, in my opinion, is that I know Mr. Baldock's reputation. Otherwise, as I say, I will be voting no or voting to send it to committee. I am very concerned with the traffic situation. If MGM a couple of weeks ago had a debacle with the traffic situation, So that can happen also at this location. And again, I say it again, it's the third or fourth time that route there is used daily, continuously by emergency vehicles from other surrounding communities to go to local hospitals. With that being said, I'll make a motion, sir, to add a condition that the proponent should produce a traffic study in 6 months to be reported to planning, traffic, and to the city council.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Madam Clerk, did you get the wording of the motion? Councilor Davila, can you repeat
Sure.
the wording of your motion for
Absolutely.
the additional condition, which shall be known as condition 17?
Condition 17 shall read, the proponent shall produce a traffic study and report it to the traffic department, planning, and the city council.
Motion has been so made by Councilor Davila. Is there a second to the motion?
I'm sorry, did I say 6 months, Mr. President? Just to clarify, 6 months.
Madam
Shall
Clerk,
produce in 6 months.
before we go further, is there a second to the motion?
Second.
Motion has been seconded by Councilor Whitfield. Madam Clerk, can you clarify the language of the motion?
So the motion is called condition 17, and it is the petitioner shall produce a traffic study within 6 months and report out to the Traffic Commission, Planning, and the City Council.
Thank you, Madam Clerk. Is there any discussion on the motion, Councilor Fenton?
Just one question on the motion, Mr. President, for Phil. Phil, normally I would support this motion for a drive-through business of this type, but my quick review of the plans was that there's no added entrance or egress from West Street as a result of this development. All the entrance and egress would be from existing property line with the Pride gas station. Is that right?
Correct. There's actually more than two. I think there's two existing curb cuts on West Street that access the gas station. So there would be, that's why my comment was there would need to be some type of easement that would cross that property onto this property.
Right.
The parcel on West Street is not very wide. It's adjacent to the driveway that gets you into the Riverfront Club. So I don't necessarily see, again, I defer to the traffic issues of the Department of Public Works, but they did not have an issue with not having a curb cut. Because I think it might be a little more confusing if you had one on West Street versus using the existing ones that are there. But again, my only comment was there would need to be some type of legal agreement that allows the access across that property to get to this one.
Certainly, but the only way to access this site pursuant to the site plan would be through the existing curb cuts from the Pride station, not
Correct.
a new curb cut from West Street.
Correct.
And I appreciate you raising the issue about the easement. I would have questioned the petitioner on that if I wasn't absolutely sure they would go and get it, because without it, they won't be able to access their property. So,
Correct. Which I did, I had mentioned that during my review when they indicated that they were in conversations with them and would have that, but I have not seen a copy of it yet.
yeah,
So it is a condition of the special permit, if you do approve it, that they do need to submit that.
They do need to submit
I think-
easement, not a traffic study.
No, an easement, correct.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much. For that reason, Mr. President, unlike some other developments of Dunkin' Donuts and other drive-through businesses in the past where I would insist on a traffic study for those reasons, and given that they're going to use existing ingress and egress from an existing private property, I wouldn't necessitate a traffic study in this case personally, so I would vote against that motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Councilor Perez, followed by Councilor Whitfield.
For purpose of the record, that was one of the issues that we discussed with the neighborhood, and I think that what would appropriately was recommended to have the crossway and all that, looking at the traffic, but that was intensively addressed by the neighborhood council, the New North Citizens Council at that point, and that's why they made the recommendation with no further recommending the project to move forward, just for the point of the record.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Councilor Davila, oh, I'm sorry, Councilor Whitfield, followed by Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. My question is for Counselor Fenton. So they're in negotiations about the easement, right? So what happens if it doesn't go through?
I'm happy to, if
Councilor
it's okay
Fenton.
with you. Thank you. So I believe what the applicant said earlier is that they've got an easement to access the property. If for some reason that wasn't the case, then they wouldn't be able to access their parcel.
To put a walkway?
To put any vehicles onto the proposed curb cuts. They wouldn't be able to have vehicles pass through the Pride-owned parcel to access the Starbucks restaurant and cafe location. So that's why I don't feel compelled to see a copy of the easement, because if for some reason Mr. Bolduc's mistaken and they don't have it, or it doesn't end up being recorded, then it's out of our hands. They wouldn't be able to access the property.
Okay. Thank you.
That's mistaken.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Councilor Davila, on your motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm just going to make another note. Again, I don't know what happened with this particular project, but we don't even have a letter of support from the New York Citizen Council. I mean, if Councilor Perez wouldn't say that without her input, we would have known that they did approve it. So I understand Councilor Fenton's logic. I see it. But I still remain extremely anxious with the traffic there. I'm very concerned with it. Again, if MGN had a debacle with traffic, who's going to guarantee me there's not going to be issues here? It's, I think my motion is reasonable. 6 months is not going to present a hardship to the petitioner. And we're just erring for the side of caution. Erring for the side of caution. I remind you, God forbid, something happens there, traffic accident, we're going to be fielding questions, and we're going to be fielding a lot of angry people from our surrounding communities. So I will urge my colleagues to support my motion. Given the proponent, this is not a hardship for them. So I will urge you to vote in favor of the motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. We're going to go to Councilor Govan, followed by Councilor Perez on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. And so from what I'm hearing, my understanding is that the petitioner has gone to the neighborhood council. They've approved his request. He has gone to the departments, asking whether this is appropriate or not. And from what Councilor Fenton said, the traffic doesn't seem to be affected because it's not at a corner, from what I heard from the testimony. So it just doesn't sound like this is needed necessarily. I'm not sure if it's going to cost the petitioner anything to have a traffic study done, because I think the city does them at some point. So I don't know. I just feel like this is where kind of like beating a dead horse, honestly. So I would not be in favor of this motion. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Perez.
Yeah, just for the purpose of the record, I was part as a city council representation of that ward. I was part of that meeting. I don't know what happened with the letter, if it's not in file or not. That's not for me to follow, but as the city council, I will say that I was part of that meeting, and it was recommended to the full board of the New York Citizen Council, and it was approved by the board. And I hope for further future reference, when I attest to something that is on behalf of the neighborhood as a city council, I have the force of words to say, and I feel very offended when I'm questioned about the matter when I am making a presentation here as a city council. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Councilor Davila, on your motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. Again, just to reiterate, I usually would have, given the lack of material, just vote no or vote to send it to committee. And there is absolutely no questioning from anybody. Again, in my mind, with the good reputation of the petitioner, is what's keeping me from voting no on this. But we either we do it one way for everybody, or we don't do it at all. Period. I know, and I'm not going to speak on one way or the other as to why file is incomplete, but it does annoy me that the file is incomplete, Mr. President, because basically again, I say this many times, we promised the world and we get a fuzzy lollipop. So, but I do want to say something that was brought up by one of the colleagues. This is not a corner. There's a corner on West Street, but there's also a bridge coming from West Springfield to here. And if you're coming from the bridge over, which is a very vast majority, I'm sure, of the people that they are going to capture within the business models, they have to take a right. And that bridge, there's tons and tons of traffic on a daily basis. And I could see a scenario that we could get an accident there very easily. And all that I'm asking is a 6-month review so we can see if there's any kinks, any issues that need to be resolved. Because if we get a major accident there on that bridge, not only are you backing up traffic, but all the emergency vehicles coming from West Springfield, potentially from Agawam, is going to be affected. Westfield as well. They use it regularly. So again, there's no corner. There's only corner on West Street. But if you're coming from the bridge over to Springfield, that's the area that I'm the most concerned with. And so again, I usually will just dig my feet in and vote no and send it to committee, but the good reputation of the proponent is what keeping me from doing that. And so, again, no questioning anything, but we do it one way consistently for everybody, or we just don't do it at all. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. The motion on the floor is to add a new condition. Is there any further discussion on Councilor Davila's motion? Councilor Perez on the motion.
This is for Phil. Is he still around?
Yes, Phil?
Phil, when it comes to the question of the traffic, was any discussion when it comes to the traffic, any report at all, part of the report concerning the traffic? Could you elaborate, please?
Again, I received the plans along with the stormwater report. I believe the developer, Mr. Bolduc does have an engineering company that is working directly with the Department of Public Works. What I do is have conversations with the Department of Public Works about potential issues that they may see on a specific project. The review that the Department of Public Works does tends to take longer than a simple site plan review process. They look at not only traffic, but drainage and other issues. So that's why I usually add a condition on a special permit that in addition to the special permit, a full review by the Department of Public Works is required. So I tend to refer developers to the Department of Public Works directly so they can review the traffic related issues. Because again, depending on the size of the project, it's going to be dependent on the size of the traffic study that the DPW is going to require. Sometimes it's a simple memo. Other times it's a larger detailed traffic study. So I do tend to defer traffic-related issues to the Department of Public Works, but I do have a number of conversations with the city engineer as well as the engineers reviewing the project at that time about whether they have any initial concerns that I need to be made aware of, and there were none on this particular project.
Thank you.
Councilor Perez, does that conclude your remarks?
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Is there any further debate on the motion? Councilor Brown on the motion.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would just have to say that knowing that my colleague did the actual research and with the neighborhood council, I would think that she would be hands-on with what's going on. So if it's something that she really believes is going to be okay, the neighborhood council is going to be okay, I definitely would support her. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Is there any further discussion on the motion? Seeing no further discussion on the motion without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on Councilor Davila's motion to add the new condition.
On the motion to add a 17th condition, Counselor Perez.
No.
No, Counselor Click Bruce.
No.
No, Counselor Curran.
No.
No, Counselor Walsh.
No.
No, Counselor Brown.
No.
No, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst. Away, Counselor Edwards.
No.
No, Counselor Allen.
No.
No, Counselor Govan.
No.
No, Counselor Fenton.
No.
No, Counselor Whitfield.
No.
No, Counselor Letterman.
No, the votes are insufficient. The motion does not carry. Returning to our regular debate, Madam Clerk, please let the record reflect that Councilor Hurst has disconnected virtually, and I will let you know if he reconnects. At this time, we're now in regular debate on the special permit. Are there any further comments, motions, or deliberation from the council relative to the special permit? Seeing none, without objection, we'll now go to a vote on the special permit. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the special permit.
On approving the special permit, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst. Away, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the special permit is approved. Councilor Perez on the reasons.
On the reason for granted permit, number one, the specific site is in appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition. Number two, the use as developed would not adversely affect the neighborhood. Number three, adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use. Number four, to incorporate the planning staff analysis into the decision at the basis of the findings.
Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll on approval of the special permit reasons.
On approving the reasons, Counselor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Hurst. Away, Counselor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Counselor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The reasons are approved. Madam Clerk, please call the next item on the agenda.
The next item is for a special permit for the expansion of a pre-existing non-conforming use gas station at the properties known as 643-649 and 679 Main Street.
Is the petitioner present?
Yes.
Is the petitioner for 643, 649, 679 Main Street present? Oh, you are the
Yes.
petitioner.
Yep.
Okay, excellent. At this time, we'll now declare that the public hearing is open, and we will recognize proponents for 20 minutes to present their testimony in favor of the special permit. Please state your name and address for the record, and you may proceed following that.
Great. Good evening. My name is Philippe Crevo of Arlevec Associates, land consulting firm for the proposed gas station expansion. I have here tonight with me the applicant, Mr. Sonny Hack. And just set up my plans here. So Okay. All right. So good evening. We are here before you tonight for the special permit application, Tier 3 special permit application for the expansion of an existing gas station located at the address of, between the address of 643 to 679 Main Street. It's basically the block between Montpelier Street and Saratoga Street, just down the street on Main Street. Currently, there are 2 individual parcels, both under common ownership by Mr. Hack. On the northerly parcel, there is an existing gas station with a 2-pump island correlating to 4 gas pumps and a convenience store on that parcel. Adjacent to that parcel is a single-story brick building with currently some retail space available at that building. What is being proposed by the application is to essentially combine the 2 parcels into a single use, expand upon the gas station use, go from a 2-pump, 2-island situation to a 5-island situation within that existing parking lot area, just northerly of the existing single-story brick building. The existing convenience store will be demolished as part of the site improvements, and the corner portion of the existing brick building will be converted to the convenience store operation to support the gas station pumps. Let me just turn this sheet here. So what we have here is the site layout of what will be developed. Basically, renovation of the existing single-story brick building, minor modifications to the existing curb cuts, but essentially utilizing the existing curb cuts that are there. In addition of 2 pumps here and a single pump here to make a row of 3 and then a row of 2. And like I said, renovation of the existing building for the convenience store, but also additionally, a portion of that building would be sort of sectioned off for additional retail space at that location. The applicant has been before the South End Council. We do have a letter supporting the project, a letter in favor from the Neighborhood Council. And we do have, we have gone through all the conditions that Mr. Dromey has issued in his recommendation letter, and we don't see any, we don't have any issue with any particular conditions. So at this point, I believe the last remaining item was, or one of the items, one of the conditions was in regard to the architectural elevations of the proposed building. We do have a sort of a concept of what the sort of the facade on the northerly side, so the side facing the gas station would look like, but these are preliminary and would be further developed in the case that the project is approved. So that is a condition within Mr. Dromey's letter, so that we are certainly willing to accommodate. So there's no, that basically concludes our presentation here. If there's any additional questions, we'll be certainly happy to answer them.
Thank you very much. Are there any other individuals present in person wishing to speak in favor of the special permit? Seeing none, is there anybody present virtually wishing to speak in favor? Seeing none, is there anybody present to speak in opposition to the special permit in person or virtually? Seeing none, at this time, we'll entertain any questions that councilors may have. Councilor Fenton, followed by Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. The plating department in their analysis notes a concern about the location of the proposed dumpsters on Saratoga Street. Can you speak to that location and if there's an ability to shift it farther from the right-of-way?
Yep. So essentially, the location where they're proposed right now is at this corner. So Saratoga Street's here, Main Street, Montpelier. As you can imagine, it's pretty the site is pretty constricted just due to the existing property lines. That's where the previous convenience store had them, I believe, in that corner. So that's where we had proposed them, because that's where they're existing. But, you know, knowing that that's the concern, we can certainly try to relocate those farther into the property. I think that's what the
you.
intent of that comment was, get them farther in.
It's hard to see from here, and it looks a little different than the plan that I have from the planning department, but the square structure to the south of where you're describing the, to the south of the dumpster location. Yeah, what's that structure?
That's a new gas pump.
That's the new,
Gas pump. So
And where
there's
is
two,
the-
there's two gas pumps, there'll be a third
and where would the cashier be for the pump?
in the convenience store
I see.
over there, utilizing the existing building on the corner.
What is the fence between your abutter to the west, or excuse me, to the east on Saratoga Street?
Yeah, to the east. Go ahead.
Sorry. That's a temporary fence between two properties, and eventually we will remove it. This fence is
What kind of fence is it, sir?
it's the previous owner of the property, he put it some metal fence because my people from the gas station, they were using his parking lot. So he wanted to restrict my customers to not go into his parking lot.
Would you be willing to put a vinyl fence the length of the
Yes.
property behind
Yes.
you on
Yes.
Saratoga Street there?
Yeah, it's gonna be white color vinyl fence. all
You put a
along
white,
the
you
building.
put a white 6-foot vinyl fence back
Yes.
there? The
Yes,
whole
sir.
length of the street?
Yes,
With
sir.
the property abutting in the back of Saratoga Street?
Yes, sir.
If the petitioner would agree to that condition, then I'd be fine with the location of the dumpsters.
Thank you, Councilor Fenton. Sir, could you just state your name and address for the record?
My name is Zahur Haq, and my address is 551 Main Street, Agawam.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are there any further questions for the petitioner? Councilor Davila?
Thank you, Mr. President. Just if the gentleman that spoke first, if I could, just to be clear, because I'm not quite sure that I understood. So this is a special permit for non-conforming for the lot 643, 649 Main Street, and 679 Main Street, correct?
Correct.
And so 679 Main Street is a gas station right now.
Is the northerly property, the gas station, correct?
And what are you going to do there again?
So the existing convenience store that's located at the gas station will be demolished.
Yeah.
That pump island will stay in the generally the same location. We'll add a pump island to the end so that there's three. Right now, there's two. We'll add one for three. And then we'll add two more in between that existing pump and the existing single-story brick building.
Okay. And so that's 679 Main Street. So what's going to happen with 643 and 649? Because that's Saratoga Street, that's on the other side then, right?
It's not other side of Saratoga. It's one block from Saratoga to Montpelier Street.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you, sir. Say that again?
It's a existing gas station is on 679.
Yeah.
And the new property convenience store address gonna be 643 and 649. They are one block. There is no street in between those parcels.
And so what are you going to have on 643 and 649?
Yeah, we're gonna have just one address we're gonna keep, would be 679 Main Street.
I'm sorry, sir, but I apologize. I'm not quite getting, what are you doing at 643 and 649? You're doing,
Yeah, that building we are converting into convenience store.
okay, so so basically you're going to take the convenience store out of 679 and you're going
Yes.
to move it over to 643, 649?
Yes, sir.
When you say like a convenience store, are you talking like a bodega or what are you talking about?
It's gonna be store with the gas station, 24-hour store, as I have right now. But right now, I have very small store, like even just one lady goes inside with the stroller, having kid with them. So there's no more space for other customer to move.
Got you, I understand. Mr. President, I have a quick question for Phil, just to help me shape my vote. Just a quick question for Phil. Phil, quick question. Unrelated to this, we approved a cannabis next to it before?
It's, I think that's just directly to the south. There used to be a building on the other corner that's been demolished, and then you've got Glory, the former
That's what I
Glory
was
Shoes.
thinking. Okay. Okay, all right, thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you to the petitioner.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Are there any further questions for the petitioner while the hearing remains open? Seeing none, without objection, I'll now declare that the public hearing is closed. We'll enter debate amongst the councilors. Is there any deliberation, motions, or debate amongst the council at this time? Councilor Fenton?
Make a motion that we impose a new condition on the proposed special permit that a 6-foot tall vinyl fence be installed the length of the property line with the abutting parcels on Saratoga Street.
Is there a second?
Second.
Motion has been made by Councilor Fenton, seconded by Councilor Whitfield for a new condition, condition 16. Madam Clerk, were you able to capture the language of the condition? Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing no discussion, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on Councilor Fenton's motion.
On adding an additional condition, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst. Away. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The motion is approved. Is there any further deliberation? Seeing no further deliberation amongst the council at this time, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approving the special permit.
On approving the special permit, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst. Away. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The special permit is approved. Councilor Perez on the reasons.
On the reasons for granted permit, number one, the specific site is an appropriate location for such a use, structure, or condition. Number two, the use as developed would not adversely affect the neighborhood. Number three, adequate and appropriate facilities will be provided for the proper operation of the proposed use. Number four, to incorporate the planning staff analysis into the decision at the basis of the findings.
Madam Clerk, without objection, please call the roll on approval of the permit reasons.
On approving the reasons, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst. Away. Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The reasons are approved.
Curran.
You weren't called? Councilor Curran?
Yes.
Yes.
The votes are sufficient and the reasons are approved. Madam Clerk, please call the next item on the agenda.
The next item on the agenda is for a zoning change to change the zoning of the properties known as 1400 State Street and 1414 State Street.
This is a zone change hearing that was continued from a previous meeting. The hearing remains open. Is the petitioner present? Please state your name and address for the record.
Sheehan, Chief Development Officer.
Bill Dromey, Deputy Director of Planning.
At this time, we'll hear from the proponents.
Councilor, as you may recall, this is a proposed petition to rezone the properties known as 1400 and 1414 State Street. The currently zoned Residence C, and the proposal is to rezone them to Residence, to rezone them to Residence B. Business A. As we noted in the original analysis, Business A is a zoning district that you find up and down the State Street corridor. We did submit a revised analysis to the council, which goes over a number of points that were brought up at the last public hearing. Again, we feel that Business A is an appropriate land use for this particular location. There was a couple of points brought up at the previous hearing with regards to the proposed or lack of proposed plans for the development of this site. While I agree, in most zone change cases, we do ask for development plans, but I do want to stress that that is not a legal requirement of a zone change. And it has happened in the past where zone changes move forward without plans being in place. One of the things I like to stress with regards to zone changes is that unlike special permit, zone changes cannot be conditioned. So even though someone may come in with a set of plans for a specific location and say, if you grant me a business zone, a change to Business A, I'll do A, B, and C. Once the zone change is approved, the developer can then, anything allowed under that Business A zone is then allowed. So while plans can be submitted, it does not necessarily, that's what you end up getting at the end of the day. A special permit can be conditioned on specific site-specific plans. And it's important to note that in this particular location, due to the size of the parcel, it needs to be stressed that in most cases of the redevelopment of this proposed location, due to the size of the parcel, it most likely will trigger a special permit review by the city council or a site plan review by the planning board. So again, while there are no definitive plans, the staff feels that a change to Business A provides a greater redevelopment opportunities. As the council is aware, the site is relatively vacant now. The oldest building there, I think, is completely vacant. There are a couple floors currently being utilized, but the current owner is, I believe, actively looking to sell the site. There were a couple other points brought up with regards to whether the zone change was in compliance with the zoning ordinance. There was one specific section cited, specifically Section 1 of the ordinance, which speaks to the historic values and cultural issues. I need to stress that section speaks to the entire zoning ordinance as a whole, in which Business A is a part of. So I think it's kind of taken out of context to say that this zone change would not be valid or it is inconsistent with the zoning ordinance, because again, that section speaks to the entire zoning ordinance, and again, Business A is a part of that specific section. I do know there was some issues with regards to the historic building, and I'm not here to in any way dissuade that there is some historic aspects to this specific property, but I do want to stress to the City Council that a zone change is specifically a land use related item. I believe that the conversations with regards to whether the building is historic and what's going to happen to it can certainly happen, and those will happen regardless of whether, those discussions can happen when development projects move forward, either through the site plan review process or through the special permit process. What I want to stress to the council is that due to the fact that the specific building on the property is not 100 years old, there is no historic designation on the property now, so there is no protection for that building, regardless if it remains Residence C or whether it changed to Business A. Rezoning it to Business A does not guarantee that the building suddenly becomes, non-historic and demolished, nor does the fact that if you leave it remain Residence C, does it mean that the building will never be torn down. theoretically, the owner of the property could walk into the building department tomorrow and file for a demolition permit. So again, I believe there's valid arguments to the historic aspects of that particular building. I also believe that the Preservation Trust has already been before the Springfield Historical Commission with the preliminary report, which has been, I believe, approved to move forward to create a single building district, which would provide additional protections for that particular building. That's a process that would ultimately go to the Springfield Historical Commission and then ultimately to the City Council for review and approval. So I do believe those aspects of the development are being addressed. But again, at the end of the day, we do believe that Business A is an appropriate zone and it allows a little more latitude for redevelopment possibilities than does the current Residence C. Again, Residence C is specifically multifamily, single and multifamily development. It does allow hospitals, but you would severely limit the redevelopment potential of that location to what it is now or some type of use. But any kind of new medical use or any type of new commercial proposal at that location would not be allowed until ultimately a zone change was approved. So I'm not sure if Tim wants to.
Thank you, Mr. Jerome. Before we go further, please let the record reflect that Councilor Hurst has reconnected remotely. Tim, go ahead.
Thank you. Two other things to add with regards to this. One is that after the last hearing, we went to the neighborhood council, got the support of the neighborhood council with regards to the rezoning request. And in that discussion, it was made abundantly clear to us that the neighborhood is not supportive of any type of housing on that site, and that they will actively come out against any housing development on that site. So that's further complicating the situation with regards to reuse and redevelopment of the site going forward if it's left as Residence C. I will take a step further than where Phil was with regards to the designation of the isolation building. We actually agree with the finding in terms of OPED and that the building has architectural significance. We support the process going forward of considering the one building historic district. One of the issues that seemed to get lost in the discussion at the last hearing date was that somehow it was being equated that allowing the zoning change and expanding the uses wasn't helpful to the redevelopment of that building. Well, if you're isolating the uses, you're constricting the possibilities of redevelopment for that property if indeed you want to have it maintained. So I think that was lost in the last discussion, that somehow it was being equated that making the zoning change was bad for the redevelopment of the property in some way. And to the point that was made relative to the developer, or the owner clearly has indicated that they have no intention of undertaking any of the work with regards to demolition or any of the site improvement work associated with that property, and that ultimately that is all going to be left with a new owner. So there's no immediacy of demolition on the property owner's part, the current property owner's part. The other point that I wanted to make clear is what we know from the city's perspective, because I appreciate the concerns that were made from the councilors at the last hearing date, was the uncertainty of what we don't know. But what we know is that Vibra is actively looking to exit from the site. This is their third attempt at making a sale relative to the property. The intent relative to this zone change is ultimately to get the site to the point that it actually can be sold and effectively redeveloped by a redeveloper that has an interest in the entire site, not just a piece of this or a piece of that. So it's looking at comprehensive redevelopment. And we believe that Business A is consistent with the zoning of the area, and we believe it's beneficial to the site and beneficial to the neighborhood. And we also know that just raising the specter of there being a potential zone change on this site has brought national interest in terms of redevelopment to the parcel for healthcare. Two developers that specialize in healthcare redevelopment have expressed interest. We have heard from housing developers as well. I think one of the concerns, obviously the neighborhood has got significant concerns with housing, and our concern is the level of density that that site can support relative to housing and how that would affect the neighborhood. So, you know, the options are, if this sale doesn't go, if they can't accomplish a transaction for sale of the site going forward, the site ultimately is going to be boarded and secured and left vacant. And that's a huge site to have vacant on a main arterial in the city, and looking at it being boarded and secured for a protracted period in time, because we know that the repositioning costs associated with this parcel are significant. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sheehan. Are there any further individuals present to speak in favor of the zone change? Seeing none in person, is there anybody present to speak in favor of the zone change virtually? Seeing none, at this time, are there any individuals present in person or virtually to speak in opposition to the zone change? Please step forward and state your name and address for the record.
Erica Swallows, 64 Washington Road.
Floor is yours.
James Johnson, 78 Bowdoin Street.
We are representing the Springfield Preservation Trust, and we want to say we do support redevelopment of the site. And also, we do support a rezoning, but not quite now. We agree with the comments made that there is no redevelopment plan at this point, and because we want to preserve the historical and architectural importance of the isolation hospital building, we believe that a redevelopment plan should be presented. And we also want to say we're happy to hear that you support the Historic Commission's proposal to create a single building historic district. And we also believe that that should be something that the City Council reviews before making a decision on rezoning. So the trust urges councilors to oppose the proposed zone change today or until a formal redevelopment plan is submitted for the property due to the importance of preserving the historic and architectural significance of the site. We further urge councilors to only permit redevelopment plans which preserve the historic and architectural significance of the site, specifically 1414 State Street. I don't need to bore you with the historical context. I did email all of you this letter, but I did want to note that the current listing for the property up for sale states former hospital campus to be redeveloped with an 85,000 square foot medical user on 7 acres of the site. The balance of the property, 10 acres, to be redeveloped with updated zoning, Business A, and allowed uses. Current redevelopment anticipates existing improvements to be demolished. The focus there being on to be demolished. Currently, as we've already heard, there is an active movement by the Springfield Historic Commission to create the single, to create an amendment of the ordinance, Chapter 49, Article 2, to add subsection 4930 Isolation Hospital and create the Historic District. I also wanted to add that the Isolation Hospital Complex is on the most endangered historic resource list for Preservation Massachusetts, the statewide nonprofit historic preservation organization dedicated to preserving the Commonwealth's historic and cultural heritage. So on a state level and on a local level, the 1414 State Street specifically is a highly valuable and property that many individuals and organizations are trying to protect. Whatever we can do as a city to protect it, including opposing a zone change prior to a historic district being reviewed by the city council, we would at the trust say that that would be the most conservative action to take. On that proposal, they are correct that on the November 17th meeting of the Historic Commission, it was unanimously voted to send it forward to the Massachusetts Historic Commission, and you all should be seeing that sometime in early 2023. So at the trust, what we're saying is we believe that a rezone would really help the city with redeveloping this property. However, we think it should be considered at the time after a historic commission or a historic district has been considered, which you should be seeing sometime in early 2023, we would say. And that is kind of our main ask here. And we also thank the city for all of the redevelopment work it does as well.
Thank you, Ms. Swallow. Is there any further testimony in opposition? Seeing none, before we move to rebuttal, Councilor Brown, you have your hand up.
Thank you, Mr. President. I just wanted to thank the trust for all the work that they do. I know that I get numerous emails and phone calls, and to me, a lot of the information that they provide, you really do know that they are experts in doing, and they really do their research. This actual property, it being kind of right abutted to where I'm at, I don't believe that it's too much of an ask from what the trust is asking the council to do. Like I said, they do an excellent job, and I definitely support what they want to do. I do believe that we should consider, not saying stopping the project, but at least listening to some of the experts who actually go and do some of the legwork, and giving them some time and us some time to vent the process to make sure that it does hold the historic, presence. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. Just a reminder to are still in the process of conducting the hearing, and so at this time, those that were present to speak in favor are entitled to a rebuttal to the remarks made by the opponents. Is there any rebuttal that wishes to be presented? Mr. Sheehan?
Councilors, I think it's important to note that the preservation's finding with regards to this building is over 3 decades old. And all of a sudden, it's a pressing issue today for the trust. I completely support the finding. I completely support the process we're going through. But the specter of a sale of the site has raised this concern. And I understand what relative to the reference to demolition that's being stated on the owner's part, that's a fact. That's what they can do today. And your consideration of whether to allow the zone change tonight or not to allow it does not impact that one way or the other. And a no tonight is going to impact a potential sale, for sure, because nobody's going to go into it with the restrictions of Resident C. Thank you.
Thank you, Director Sheehan. Is there any further rebuttal by the proponents? Seeing none, is there any rebuttal by the opponents? And that would conclude the hearing portion. Is there any rebuttal by the opponents? If there is no rebuttal, then at this time, without objection, we'll move to questions deliberation by the council.
Motion to continue.
Councilor Edwards has made a motion to continue. Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
I'm coming. Okay. There's been a motion to continue by Councilor Edwards. There was a second by Councilor Davila on the motion. I know Councilor Whitfield did also wish to be heard on the motion.
So prior to Councilor Edwards making the motion, I had questions for Tim and Phil. That
would be in order at this time as well.
It is? Okay. Thank you. What neighborhood council did you see?
Pine Point,
Which neighborhood council?
Pine Point.
Oh, Pine Point Neighborhood Council? Because
Yes.
that's where it's located? Okay, and they said they would not approve any housing at
They're
all?
not supportive of any housing development on the site.
Are you aware of that, Councilor Click Bruce?
Yes, I was actually at the meeting.
You were at the meeting?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Additionally, you said that there's no one that's ready to, or have a development plan or ready to build on this lot, but if we don't do the zone change today, then we're definitely not gonna get anyone. We're definitely not gonna get anyone that doesn't have a development plan. I don't understand that.
What I'm saying, Counselor, is that the property's been put out to the market for sale. The market is actively interested in the property, and some development entities are looking at it as a potential acquisition. And nobody is going to go into full-scale development planning until they have a sense of sight for their plan. So the market interest that we have right now, it's my opinion that if the property is left as Residence C, precluding any other type of use that would support healthcare like gyms and medical offices, all of that's precluded under the existing zoning. So how do you then try to fill up the entire site with uses if you're so precluded in a Residence C zone? That's the problem. And the development entities are trying to figure out what other types of uses that they could bring to the site. But when they get into Residence C, they're saying there's virtually nothing here but resident and institutional use, and that can't fill up the site.
So I do understand that, but I've also seen developers come before us when they have something developed and request zone changes. So I'm just confused as to why this particular parcel is so different. We've had many developers come before us and request a zone change on properties once they have an idea in mind. So I'm just trying to figure out what makes this parcel so unique.
The intent on this is so that the property doesn't become vacant, abandoned, and secured. And that's the difference. Is
Vacant, abandoned, so the owner's going to abandon it?
The property owner is vacating the site. The systems will be turned off in the buildings, and the property will be secured. And it will be a boarded, vacant site for quite some time, given the amount of resources that it's going to take to reposition the site. That's the urgency. If we're looking at this saying, okay, we don't want to rezone because we want to wait and go through the process, anyone who's interested right now is most likely going to drop out because the Residence C zoning doesn't facilitate the type of development that they would be looking for.
Council President, if there's a motion to continue, we cannot have additional meetings about this, can we, like outside of this hearing?
If there is a motion to continue the hearing on the zone change, we could not have additional meetings on the zone change specifically outside of a hearing of the city council. We'd have to come back to a future hearing at another hearings meeting or a regular meeting if we so chose.
Okay, because it just feels like it's going to be continued again, and we're going to go in circles talking about the same thing. I do want to hear from Councilor Davila, but I also want to move the question on the motion to continue.
So if a motion to move the question is made and seconded on the motion to continue, we will proceed to an immediate vote on the motion to move the question, which, if successful, would lead to a immediate vote on the motion to continue. So if you wish to hear further deliberation from other members of the council, I would refrain from making that motion at this time. That would be my parliamentary advice.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Davila.
Thank you.
We're going to go to Councilor Govan virtually, then to Councilor Davila, and then we'll come to Councilor Allen, unless I missed somebody over here. All right. So we'll go followed by Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm sorry. I'm going?
Yes, Councilor Govan, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. I'm, I guess, a bit confused too. So my questions would be, after Erica sent me the email regarding the 14, I think it's 1414 State Street property, I looked at it. I went onto the GIS, and to me, and of course, you're the experts, I totally agree with Councilor Brown that the Springfield Preservation Trust, just like the Historical Commission, does great work in our city preserving our property that needs to be preserved. However, I didn't see the historic aspect of it. So Erica, maybe you and I can have a conversation about that. And so my question would be for Tim. So what I'm hearing, and I hear the urgency and I understand the urgency because I've seen that property go through a number of iterations. Originally was Providence Hospital, originally was Municipal Hospital. And I'm really, just like I think a lot of people are afraid that it's going to be vacant. So my question would be, so right now, the city is requesting the zone change, Tim?
Planning Board has submitted the request to the council.
The planning board, okay, great. And the reason you're doing that is because any potential buyers would want to have the zone change be business day. So I see what Councilor Whitfield is saying. However, I think that that property has been up for sale for a while now, correct?
This is the third sale that the current owner has advanced.
Oh, okay.
None of the others dealt with a potential zone change, though, and the other two failed.
Okay. And do you know when the current owners are planning on leaving?
They have a contract with the state for a service that they're providing in the building. That service is being relocated and taken over by Bay State. The timing on that is months, not years.
Months, I see. Okay. So, all right, so then I think I'm getting a little bit clearer now. So then we can potentially, if we continue it to another meeting, we can have maybe at that time some more answers and potentially know exactly when they're leaving, because I agree with you that I'm really afraid that if that property is left vacant, it may be, vandalized, it may be, it might deteriorate really quickly, and I really don't want that to happen because that is, a property that has been in our history for a very, very long time. So I guess those are my questions. Thank you, Tim. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. I think, like I said, great minds think alike. I was going to ask similar questions to Councilor Govan, but Tim, if I answer correctly, with the answer you just gave Councilor Govan, is that Bay State will be taking over the property, correct?
I'm sorry, you said Bay State will be taking over the property?
Correct. That's what you answering?
That's not what I indicated. I indicated that Bay State was taking over a contract for a service that's being provided in the building right now, and therefore there would be no other tenancy left in the building.
So they're going to be taking over the contract, but do you know who's going to be taking over the building, the ownership?
The potential what?
The ownership of the building?
The ownership of the building right now is with Vibra. Vibra has got the property up for sale.
So if Bay State takes over the contract, who's going to own the building?
I'm sorry? The current contract for the service provider that's in the building now, which is the state of Massachusetts, it's a state contract. That is a contract with the current owner, yes.
Yeah, but the question is, if Bay State is going to take over the contract and provide services, who's going to own the building? Somebody has to own
They're going to a different building.
Oh, but
Bay State's relocating the service out of the building.
Okay.
So there will be no tenant in the building.
There will be no tenant in the building. So
no one.
But so Vibra will still own the building.
Vibra would continue to own the property until they sell.
And they're saying that if this doesn't go through, they are going to board up the building?
They have made it clear that their intention is to vacate the property and board and secure it.
Okay. Okay. Just out of curiosity, do you know where these people are going to be relocated to?
I'm sorry, I can't hear you.
Do you know where these people are going to be relocated to? The patients, the current patients in there? Because I think there's a psychiatric hospital in there, right?
Yes, I'm not, in terms of the relocation of that contract? Do I know where it's going?
Because I find it hard to believe that we have I could be wrong here, Tim, I'm just asking. I'm just trying to put one dog after the other here. There is psychiatric services in there. I know that for a fact. There's in-hospital psychiatric services. And we have a shortage of psychiatric beds in the whole state, in this area. So where are they saying they're going to relocate these people within months? I definitely want to know.
All I can say, Counselor, is I have been told that the Bay State is taking over that contract and they're relocating it, the services, to a different facility that they control.
I understand. Tim, I do thank you for being here and answering our questions. And I know it could be a little frustrating, but...
I'm having a hard time hearing you, Counselor.
Maybe it's my accent. I don't know. Can you hear me? Yeah. You hear me now?
I can.
Okay. So I know I say thank you for being here. I know it could be frustrating, and this issue we've been going back and forth. But Mr. President, I don't have enough information on this yet, so I'm going to stick with the motions committee. Seconding the motions committee. Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Just to clarify, it's a motion to continue, and we'll now go. We'll now go to Councilor Allen on the motion to continue.
Thank you, Mr. President. Tim, I'm wondering, we have a motion to continue on the floor here. I would often vote for a motion to continue, but I'm wondering about the urgency of the situation you're talking about with them wanting to sell, potentially abandon the property, board it up, et cetera. What's the sense of urgency you have on how soon a decision needs to be made, going for what you would like?
If we're continuing for a matter of a couple of weeks, that's one thing. If we're, as Councilor Whitfield suggested, we're talking about continuing this 3 or 4 more times, that's problematic.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Allen. Councilor Govan.
I guess this might be a point of clarification. Councilor Davila asked about where the services are going. Patients that are currently at the Vibra Hospital, Bay State is opening a brand new psychiatric facility in Holyoke, the old Providence Hospital in Holyoke. They're taking that over and they're opening those services. So I imagine that's where they're going to bring those patients that are currently at the site on State Street. So again, you know, once they take that contract over, it's a state contract, and they're going to have it. The owners of the Vibra Hospital currently will probably be leaving, and just like Tim said, they're going to board it up and just wait until somebody buys it.
Thank you, Councilor Govan. Councilor Davila, did you wish to be heard?
Thank you. Yeah, Mr. President, just to thank you, Councilor Govan, for that clarification. But I was fully aware of that, but to the best of my knowledge, Bay State is not going to be adding any more beds. They're going to have the same amount of beds. So if you play the number game, it's still going to be the same thing, no matter how you add it up or subtract it. We still have a shortage. And personally, I'm just, a little tired of in the council being, if you don't do this by now, either we're going to suspend services or the people are going to walk away. I just, for me personally, that's not my way of doing things under the threat of, what's the word I'm looking for? Regress or duress? Duress, yeah. So I'm a little annoyed by that. So, and one thing I know about people who have ambition over money, they will come back. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. There's a motion on the floor. The motion is to continue this to our next hearings meeting with the hearing open. Is there any further deliberation on the motion? Seeing none, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to continue by Councilor Edwards.
On the motion to continue, Councilor Perez.
I'm sorry, could I be able to ask a question before we continue?
Oh, absolutely, yes.
Just
That was what, that was, I
point of-
had,
I'm
I thought
sorry,
I
for
had
point of
recognized for, I thought I had
clarification, yeah.
recognized for further, but
Right.
I will count this as an objection to our continuing the roll call, and Councilor Perez, the floor is yours for a question.
So there's 2 points that I need clarification. When it comes, Tim, and this is addressed to Tim, when it comes to the preservation, you had stated that that will be taken in consideration if we go in the zoning change?
Well, I think this point the council really needs to consider is that I'm almost certain that any type of redevelopment of this site is going to require a special permit from this council. And that is where you can put forward restrictions with regards to what's happening on the property. So if the council is of a mindset that it wants that property preserved, it certainly could put a restriction, and Phil, correct me if I'm wrong, but it certainly could put a restriction on any special permit issued that the preservation of the isolation building must be advanced.
And the second part of clarification, there has been 2 potential people that has been interested, and because of the zoning, they have declined themselves from buying the property?
No, there's two prospective healthcare developers that are looking at the property. Their problem is basically how do they get the economics of the site to work without having the underlying flexibility with regards to uses on the site.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Yes.
Thank you, Councilor Perez. Is there any further deliberation on the motion to continue? Seeing no further deliberation, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on the motion to continue. A yes vote will continue this to the next hearings meeting with the hearing open. A no vote will return us to debate on the zone change.
On the motion to continue, Councilor Perez.
No.
No, Councilor Click Bruce.
No.
No, Councilor Curran.
No.
No, Councilor Walsh.
No.
No, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
No.
No, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
No.
No, Councilor Whitfield.
No.
No, Councilor Letterman.
Yes. Madam Clerk, please read me the recording of the...
There are 6 votes in favor and the remaining votes against.
How many votes against?
7.
7. The motion fails, and we'll now return to regular debate on the zone change. Is there any further deliberation or questions for the petitioners on the zone change prior to our closing the hearing? Councilor Curran?
Just a comment, actually. First, thanks for your leadership on the historic preservation. But just on the debate tonight, if we do change the zone, as we heard from Mr. Sheehan, it doesn't foreclose any further actions to preserve the historic integrity of that site. But what it may do is lose the opportunity for further development. So I am in favor of changing the zone change tonight. I think we really need to send a message that the City Council is a body that is not hindering business or the potential of business or development here in the city. And again, what we heard from Phil and as well as Mr. Sheehan was no one is opposed to maintaining the historical integrity of those buildings, and changing the zone change tonight doesn't change that. And again, I think not approving the zone change really slows down this project unnecessarily. So I will be voting in favor of the zone change.
Thank you, Councilor Curran. Councilor Click Bruce, followed by Councilor Brown.
Yes, thank you, Council President. Thank you, Erica, for your leadership and bringing this to the forefront. I just want to take into account that the the city of Springfield took the time to actually visit the neighborhood council, and I got to stand in support of the neighborhood council. They did ask specific questions and really got detailed answers from the city, and so I have to support the Pine Point Council, and I'm trying to push this forward, but also knowing that we also want to be cognizant of the fact that there is some historical value there, and we want to make sure we address those issues. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Click Bruce. Councilor Brown, followed by Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Maybe this is maybe for Tim. I was just curious about the actual, you said that we have potential buyers.
From the city's perspective, we know that there are two healthcare developers that are looking at the property for potential acquisition. There are also housing developers that are looking at it as well. As I indicated, the amount of density that particular site could support relative to housing would be a concern for the city and the neighborhood, but there are housing developers looking as well.
And what are they submitting proposals? Are they contacting the potential the seller? I mean, how?
This is a private sale, Counselor. They're contacting the broker for the property,
broker.
the owner's broker,
Okay.
which is Cushman and Wakefield.
Okay. So I'm just curious as far as, not that you have a few, these are potential buyers, based on, I'm just curious on the percentage of what is this going to make or break if this is passed? Is there a guaranteed, say 98% that this property is going to be now purchased?
No, Counselor, it's basically giving the market that is interested in the property the flexibility of use regarding the site rather than having it be restricted to Residence C, which really only allows housing and institutional uses. So, you can't do any type of office development on this site under the zoning. You can't do a health club. You can't do a whole host of uses. Xing all of those uses out is making it more difficult economically to support an acquisition. By a perspective.
Working with the historic, prospect and the trust, and with the council itself, you're saying that those potential people not having a 98% idea that they're actually going to purchase the property, they wouldn't be inclined to give a month or actually sit down and unless, I mean, I'm disappointed that we couldn't talk about this a little bit more. They wouldn't be inclined to sit down. For some reason, it seems like the Preservation Trust has certain issues that aren't being addressed.
As I said, Counselor, the Preservation Trust designation of this building took place 3 decades ago. While we're all supportive of looking at the historic inventory of the city and protecting that, it was 3 decades ago that the finding was made, and we should have been advancing this.
So are you saying that their actual research is incompetent?
No, I'm not. I'm saying that the action that they're seeking right now should have been action that was taken some time ago, not right in the potential middle of a sale transaction.
Well, I'm just curious.
And further, Counselor, I want to suggest to you that the bottom line is that whatever the decision is with regards to zoning from the council, it doesn't impact the potential preservation. It actually increases the opportunity for preservation to occur because you are allowing more uses on the site.
I understand that, but just like my colleague, Councilor Davila, I have issues with such such a rush. You're talking about still hypothetical buyers. These aren't, you have potential buyers. I would have to say that I'm a potential buyer. My uncle's a potential buyer. Everyone's a potential buyer. There's so many times where, we have potential investors that pull out. Just how we just talked to Mr. Bolduc. He invested in Pride gas station in my community, and yeah, bells and whistles cheering, and then in 2 seconds later he sold the thing. So I mean, there's always things that change. We do have potential, and if we have potential buyers now, I believe we'll have potential buyers within a month, won't we?
What's not a potential, Counselor, is that if there's not a sale, Vibra will exit the site and they ultimately will vacate it and board and secure it. And we will have another vacant parcel on a main arterial.
So you're saying that the potential sellers, based on the fact if we don't do this right now, they're going to take their building and board it up and go away?
They have indicated that if this sale is unsuccessful, that is their intent, sir.
So I'm not too inclined to rush for someone who isn't really willing to work with the community. Like I said, the area, it might be the neighborhood council of Six Corners, but I mean, I can see the building from my house. So, I mean, it really, I just don't see the rush. You're saying that there's no way we can sit down with the trust, with the council, and just, I mean, we can't do it in a week. We can't do it in 2 weeks. We can't, I mean, we just can't sit down and because for some reason, the trust is saying that they have information where they feel that we should hold off for a second. You're saying that their information is based on ancient data.
Well, no, the fact is the finding was made over 30 years ago with the property having architectural significance. My only point, Counselor, was if the intent was to actually protect the property, it should have been done at some point over that 30-year window. I mean, we talk about, the need to act quickly, but yet this is the type of situation that occurs when we delay action.
Well, when you say, and I can maybe help you out why, I've talked to a few of the people who are part of the trust, and they're young individuals. They're passionate. There's a few young, passionate fighters that's joined. I'm a young guy. There's people who are now, it might have been 30 years ago, but there's people who are joining the scene. You see a lot of my colleagues were younger people who now they might not have been things that been on the table 30 years ago, but now they're coming up now. We're different breed. We're younger. It's different, so now it was actually addressed. So when it was addressed, to me, really isn't important. I believe it needed to be addressed. And I'm just saying, what is if it's not going to make a difference, why not just do it and give people some time?
As I said, it's up to the counselors as to whether they want to advance time on this or not.
All right. Thank you for your work. I'm just curious. I just want to be able to work together.
Thank you,
Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Brown. We'll go to Councilor Davila, followed by Councilor Hurst.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, I want to point out that representative of the Preservation Trust here that are present did talk a while ago, and then themselves, if I heard correctly, they're not opposed to redevelopment done correctly and preserving the history and the historical value of the building. Mr. President, I say that because as we are going through this debate, I keep thinking of something that my mom used to tell me, that I was the cutest boy in the neighborhood. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's true. I mean, we got these potential buyers out there, and what's keeping them from buying the property and the next day filing to tear it down? I mean, as we stand now, it's entirely possible. Again, I say that because, Tim, you could sit here and tell us this and that they had this, interest of not bringing it down, but, I'm sorry, I need more reassurances than that. And this is significant. I don't see what the rush is. Again, as I said before, I don't like when I'm like the rest, like you do this now, or this is going to happen. Has been a pattern for a while. It's a pattern that we have brought up. And I'm not saying that it's because of you, Tim, or the other. I don't know, but I do know that this has been a pattern. And I know a lot of council have spoke against it before. And, we need to preserve this. We need to ensure that this building is preserved. They can say whatever they want. They can say, pie in the sky. They can say whatever. But this is too significant to lose. Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Councilor Hurst.
Thank you, Mr. President. I actually agree with my two colleagues that spoke before me. I'm not so sure that the timing of when this building is preserved is relevant. I think the objective is that we want to ensure that it's preserved. So just a quick question, Tim, and I lost connection. So did we hear from the owners?
Yes, it's in your package. They're represented by their broker.
Okay. Did they come? Did they speak today?
No, they did not come in person. They indicated it through their broker that they were supportive of the requested zone change.
Okay. Okay. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Councilor Davila Councilor Whitfield followed by Councilor Davila.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Go ahead.
I'm sorry. I just have, I don't know. I forgot what I was about to say. I'm tired. Okay. If they leave the building, do they still have to pay property taxes on it?
Yes, Counselor.
They still have to pay property taxes. And if we don't approve the zone change,
Just to expand on that, though, the formula relative to...
Councilor Whitfield, do you wish to further
I'm sorry.
question the witness?
yes.
Proceed.
Just to expand on that, the economic calculation that is one of the bases for your tax bill on commercial real estate would then be factored in because the building would be vacant. So they would be paying property taxes, but it most likely would be less because there would be no tenancy in the building.
There's no tenants in there. Okay. And if we don't approve the zone change, this is for you, Council President, tonight, there's no 2-year wait or anything like that, right? We can just come back.
If we do not approve the zone change tonight, there is I looked at the rule on this earlier this evening. If you don't mind, I'm going to just read from it because I think it's very relevant. So give me one moment.
Sure.
Okay. So the rule that we have on special permits is Rule 25. That's special permits, not zone changes. Special permits do hold a bar if they're voted down. However, the only thing that I've seen in the rules on zone changes is a zone change time limitation in Rule 24, which states if the council fails to vote to adopt a proposed zoning ordinance within 90 days after the hearing, no action shall be taken thereon until subsequent hearing is held as provided by law. I think there's one additional piece, though, relative to that, which is, I believe, if it wants to be brought back before 2 years, it requires something from the planning board. So if you'll bear with me, I just want to find that statement. So that, I was looking there at Rule 23, which states no proposed zoning ordinance or bylaw which has been unfavorably acted upon by a city council shall be considered by the city council within 2 years after the date of such unfavorable action, unless the adoption of such proposed ordinance or bylaw is recommended in the final report of the planning board. So I would need Phil to describe what the final report of the planning board would be. But that is the rule as it exists in our city council rules, which I believe is as a result of state law. Phil?
Yeah, the final report of the planning board was a unanimous vote to approve the zone change. So,
Right, but if the zone change was voted down and brought back with a vote of the planning board, we could hear it according to this rule.
I believe so. I believe you could hear it because if the planning board hadn't acted, it would, the 2 years would kick in, I believe.
Right. That would be my ruling, Councilor Whitfield.
All right, well, I'm going to go with that. And in the words of Councilor Edwards, I think that we all know how we're going to vote right now, and we have another item on this agenda, and I am going to request that we move the question because we have heard it. No one's going to change their mind on how they're going to vote at this point, so I'm going to make a motion to move the question.
Motion has been made to move the question by Councilor Whitfield. It was seconded by Councilor Perez. On that, Madam Clerk, please call the roll to move the question. 2/3 majority vote is required.
On moving the question, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient. The question is now called. Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the requested zone change. 2/3 majority vote is required. A yes vote will approve the zone change. A no vote will defeat it.
On approving the zone change, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
No.
No, Councilor Davila.
No.
No, Councilor Hurst.
No.
No, Councilor Edwards.
No.
No, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
No.
No, Councilor Letterman.
No. The votes are 6 against, 7 in favor. The votes are not sufficient, and the zone change fails. Madam Clerk, please call the next item on the agenda.
The next item is to change the zoning of a property known as Southside Central Street from Residence C to Commercial P.
Is the petitioner present? This is a zone change hearing. Will be run in accordance as previous zone change hearings have been, with 20 minutes presented for the proponents, 20 minutes for any opponents, and 5 minutes for rebuttal. At this time, I'll declare that the hearing is open, and we will turn the floor to the proponent for her testimony.
My name is Joy Martin from Davenport Advisors, and we're here to ask for your approval of the previously approved zone change by a planning board for what is now called, it used to be 99 Central Street, I believe now it's called SS Central Street because it's a vacant lot. The vacant lot would be used for private parking, and the parking would be for the residents of 169 Maple Street. There are 11 apartments, there would be 11 parking spaces.
Do you have any further testimony to present?
I don't know if there was a plan in everyone's packet. I can attempt to do what I did last time, but it didn't seem very successful. I have a board here that shows the parking. The parking will be fenced. The fence will be a vinyl chain link fence with slats in between to allow for privacy of the surrounding areas. The parking lot will be well lit. There will be plantings and to offer a buffer to the neighbors.
Thank you. Okay. Is there any further testimony in favor of the zone change? Seeing none in person, is there any further testimony in favor of the zone change virtually? And seeing none, we'll now ask if there is anybody present to speak in opposition to the zone change, either present in person or virtual. Seeing none at this time, are there any questions from councilors relative to the zone change? Councilor Whitfield?
So Davenport already owns this lot, correct? Because they're the petitioner.
Ms. Joy?
Oh, I'm sorry.
Davenport already owns this lot?
No, this was part of the RFP for 169 Maple Street.
The one we just talked about?
Yes, when we answered the RFP for the city to acquire the property, what was offered was the building at 169
parking
Maple
lot.
Street and this lot on
and-
Central Street.
Where's the overflow? Where's the visitors parking gonna go?
The visitors' parking would be located along the whatever street parking there is available. And at this time, we would anticipate working out an easement situation with the townhouses across the street, since some of them are vacant at the time, and so that parking lot is not being fully utilized.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Whitfield. Are there any further questions for the petitioner on the zone change? Councilor Fenton?
Thank you. Ms. Martin, I'm just having problem identifying where this vacant lot is on Central Street. So 169 is your proposed
I don't know
development
if
that
you-
we
this-
approved this special permit for.
Let me see if this helps to show it. So if you can look at this legend, I'm sorry, if you can look at this legend right here. Thank you. This is the parking here, and Maple Street is up here.
Oh, it's diagonally across the street.
According to the notes, it is approximately 175 linear feet from the building.
Can you just show that one more time? I'm sorry, because there's a law office that's on that corner diagonally across the street. Isn't there like it's further up the hill? Oh, it's 2 parcels down the hill.
Councilor Edwards.
Counselor Edwards?
Councilor Edwards, please speak into your microphone.
Sorry, just for the information, this parcel that we're discussing, you're familiar with the law offices that sits on the corner of Central and Maple Street. This, if you were standing in front of that and started to walk down Central toward down Main Street, it would be the third lot or third parcel, I believe, on the left, same side of the law offices.
I see. Okay, thank you. And so, Ms. Martin, the intent is that this would be a parking lot that's used for residents to walk up Central Street to access
Yes.
these I see. Okay, thank you.
Are there any further questions? Seeing no further questions for the petitioner, I will now declare that the public hearing is closed. Is there any deliberation amongst the council? Seeing no deliberation, Councilor Davila.
Thank you, Mr. President. Actually, can everybody, if I stand, can you hear me like that? It takes a little better. But what's commercial P? I guess it's for my point of clarification.
Phil,
Maybe it's a Phil question.
could you clarify the allowed uses in commercial P for Councilor Davila?
Commercial P strictly allows parking. So it's a zone that's used throughout the city that, you know, if you have within residential districts, you want to be able to allow parking for specific uses, but no other commercial uses allowed. So commercial P, you can use it
Okay.
strictly for parking. If this was adjacent to the building, you wouldn't technically need a zone change, but because it's down the street, you need to rezone it.
Thank you. Thank you, Mr. President. That's my question.
Thank you, Councilor Davila. Is there any further deliberation amongst the council before we proceed to the vote on the zone change? Seeing no further deliberation, at this time, without objection, Madam Clerk, please call the roll on approval of the zone change.
On approving the zone change, Councilor Perez.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Click-Bruce.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Curran.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Walsh.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Brown.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Davila.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Hurst.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Edwards.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Allen.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Govan.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Fenton.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Whitfield.
Yes.
Yes, Councilor Letterman.
Yes, the votes are sufficient and the zone change is approved. Madam Clerk, is there any further business brought before the council this evening?
There is not.
Then at this time, we will stand adjourned. Thank you, everybody, and have a good night.
Good night.